Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. It's a pleasure to rise and respond to my last budget of 2019-2020, and it's a very happy opportunity for me to rise and respond to a balanced budget, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And this budget strikes the right balance for the people of the province of Saskatchewan for this next fiscal year. Mr. Speaker, as is custom, there's a few thank yous I'd like to do before we get into the meat of our budget response. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our constituency assistant for Regina Wall Shakers, Heather Hal Shiplack. She has been our assistant since the beginning, since 2011, and I have been very honored to be able to work with her. I believe she is the best constituency assistant in the province, bar none. She has kept me on task, which is no easy thing, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and it has been we've had a great working relationship. She has become a good friend and a trusted confidant, and I'm very happy that she's been able to stay with us and make sure our office responds to all of the people that have been calling into it. And she does an amazing job responding to the people of Regina Wall Shakers when we are sitting in this chamber, Mr. Speaker, during session, and she does great work. She has been able to build contacts with ministry officials and the minister's offices throughout the province, and it's been a very good job. She does a very good job for our constituents, and I think everyone feels that she has been very, very well suited for this job, Mr. Deputy Speaker. A few other thank yous. This has been 8 years I've been able to stand in my place and represent the people of Regina Wall Shakers, and it's been an honor, and I wouldn't get here without having a great constituency association. I'll run through a few names. They've been able to help us in 2 campaigns in 2011 and 2016, and I hope I don't miss anyone out, but I want to thank Eric and Shauna, Chris, Reese, Lance, Kate, Mark, Raylene, Barry, Linda, Alicia, Chantel. We've had a very good team in Regina Wall Shakers, and there has been a pleasure to work with them all, and we've had a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of hard work, but it's been so far the greatest experience of my work in life as being the MLA for Regina Wall Shakers. Mr. Deputy Speaker, one thing that's been very important to us as a government is putting our 3-year plan in place, first under Premier Wall, and then under the member from Roster and Shelbrook, to ensure that we follow through on our 3-year plan and make sure that we got to balance in 2019-2020. That's right. And that's exactly what we did. We made a commitment to the people of our province, and we followed through on that commitment. And it really goes along with some of the things that the member from Cutmouth-Turtleford said, is promise made, promise kept. I remember a few years ago that was part of our campaign in 2011, and I think it still holds true today that the people of the province know that what the Saskatchewan Party government says is what we're going to do. And I think that's something that this side of the House can be very proud of going forward, is that we follow through on our commitments, and it's been a fantastic job so far by our Finance Minister and Treasury Board to ensure that we get to balance. It's a $34.4 million surplus. It's a thin balance, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but it's taken a lot of work to get there, and there's been some tough decisions made to ensure we get there by each and every minister who has done a great job ensuring that our team came together to meet this challenge. Mr. Deputy Speaker, there are a few things that have happened in our great city here in the last couple of years that we are very proud of, looking forward to completion. One is the Regina Bypass. I think this is a fantastic infrastructure project, the biggest one in our province's history, and it's all about safety. And when that opens in October 2019, people are going to know how big this project was around our city to ensure that we get traffic off of the streets and ensure we get heavy traffic off of Louvain and off of Dewdney, which we heard countless times from the member from Rosemont, to ensure that there isn't traffic going through his constituency, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I think he's going to be grateful once this project's done to ensure that there's less traffic, and he will no longer, well, he hasn't done a petition for a while, so there's no longer heavy haul truck traffic going down Dewdney. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we've been able to make our commitment to our revenue sharing with our municipal partners. I know the Minister of Government Relations has done a lot of work to ensure that has gone through, and there is a stable formula in place to ensure that all municipalities know what's coming forward in the budget year. Mr. Speaker, I know the Mayor of Regina had some complimentary comments about the revenue sharing moving forward, and I look forward to continuing to work with our city partners in Regina to ensure that they have a stable funding formula in place. Mr. Deputy Speaker, there is a lot of conversation going back and forth. I listened to my friend from Regina, Elphinstone, about young people in our province, and it's one of the reasons we got involved in politics from my standpoint was growing up in Rush Lake. There wasn't a lot of opportunities in the late 90s and early 2000s in our province, and I think one of the big things that I've heard the member from Rosetown talk about it a time or two is getting involved in politics, because our province had so much opportunity and it wasn't being taken advantage of, and young people kept on leaving our province in droves for 16 years under the NDP. And what we did is we made a commitment in government in 2007 that we were going to ensure there's more opportunities for young people in our province. And that's called a plan. And it's something that we planned for, and we brought in the most aggressive graduate retention program in the country. And there's been tens of thousands of people that have taken advantage of that program and started to build a life right here in Saskatchewan. And that's something Minister of Agriculture knows too. I think that might be related, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And that's something when we formed government was very important to us. And going down this road, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm not sure what's important to the opposition right now. I'm not sure they have a plan, for anything. Right now, they've said in their budget speeches, and we've listened to them, they said, we want more spending. We want more spending in education. We want more spending in health care. We want more spending in social services. We want more infrastructure.
Too much spending in social services.
But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, they don't want deficits, and they don't want debt. And that can't all happen. And they don't want to raise taxes. We hear petitions all the time about taxes from the members opposite. So I've never once seen a concrete plan brought forward from any one of those members of if they would ever, God forbid, have the honor of being on this side, what would they actually do differently? I know there was an article in the Leader Post saying, pick a lane. Telling the Leader of the Opposition, you got to pick a lane, because you can't criticize everything but say, I want more and more and more, but not have a plan of how to get there. And my friend from Saskatoon Southern is probably right. He probably picked a ditch, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because I think he isn't quite sure where he wants to go, and I think that showing in some of our data we've seen recently. Mr. Speaker, just the words out of touch came from the member from Elphinstone about this side of the House. I know there's one issue that we've talked about, and we will, under our Premier, stand up for Saskatchewan constantly, and that's on the federal Liberals carbon tax. There isn't a policy or a position that is more out of touch with the people across Saskatchewan than being in favor of Justin Trudeau's carbon tax. It's completely irrelevant in most of our province. Right now, Mr. Speaker, we've seen it, 80% of the people of the province are against a federal carbon tax, and those members across are still saying there needs to be a price on carbon. Mr. Deputy Speaker, how much more out of touch can you be with the people of our province? Mr. Deputy Speaker, there are a lot of other topics that this budget has shown as moving forward, moving our province forward, on health care, on social services, on infrastructure, Mr. Deputy Speaker, building more schools. There's another school being built in Regina, St. Pius. My friend and colleague from Regina Rochdale spoke about it at length, and she has a lot more knowledge on it than I wasn't quite around in 1978, so I wasn't sure about 76, sorry, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but I'll take her word for it that there are some issues then, and I'm happy to say that we're with the government being able to bring forward a new school for the people in that area of our city. I'd like to talk about how, Mr. Speaker, there's been some, and I believe, I'm going to take a sip of my Kool-Aid. I believe the member from North Battleford spoke about it for a couple seconds of how the decorum in this building sometimes has been lowered a little bit, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I think in this beautiful chamber we should be able to discuss policies, ideas, but not so much talk about people and do personal attacks. And I hope that changes in the next couple weeks, because I think it's really incumbent among all of us to raise the level of decorum and make sure that the people that send us here do it to represent them. So I think when we're standing in our spots, we should be thinking about what the people of Walsh Acres or Cut Next Road or Swift Current, how would they want us to react in this chamber, respond to questions and to answers. And I think we should take that moving forward. I guess I'm getting a little... Mr. Speaker, we lost a great lady and my auntie a month ago, Adeline Steinley. She was very important to me. We grew up on the farm, and every now and then I think, what would Auntie be saying if I had have some comments? I know she visited this place a couple times when I was my first term, and believe it or not, I was a little more partisan than I am now. And now every now and then I think, if Auntie's looking down, I would hope that she'd be smiling instead of shaking her head, because she had that head shake whenever she knew I was up to no good. So maybe it's just me, and I'm getting a little bit older and a little bit more mature. Let's hope that's the case. But maybe, as my friend from Kenora Pelly said, maybe I'm getting a little bit soft in my old age. But I think we should try a little bit harder to ensure that we're doing our jobs with the utmost respect, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I know that there are some other members that want to join in this evening yet. So I'll close with I think a statement that, you know, I never thought I'd do this, but I'm going to quote the member from Athabasca. And this is my last budget response. The budget is balanced, so don't you guys screw it up, okay? Mr. Colleagues, I believe in you all, and you do a wonderful job, but I hear that from the member from Athabasca all the time, and I'm believing you. We're going to continue balanced budgets now into the future. I look forward to seeing how our province continues to grow under a steady, strong Saskatchewan Party government. I'll be supporting the budget, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and not the amendment. Here, here.